good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Classics. We are out on the Richmond Challenge. Nathan Guerra here. Anna Russell, the professor of the whiteboard, the fashion police, has shown up on the day for the New Zealand stream coming from the home country. Here we go.
Yeah.
It looks like we've got some big hitters. Now, I do want to talk real quickly to some changes to the AutoCAT system. For those that don't know, the AutoCAT system has been being used and tested on the Zwift Classics in order to get a system that categorizes people based on the results that they have had in Zwift racing. It's been working pretty well so far, and they've made a couple of adjustments that are pretty cool. The A's and the B pens are going to be the men and the women. They all start separately from the pens, but they're all going to mix together so that they can race each other. It seems to be working in order to, at least from what I'm seeing and what I think we're going to see here, in order to give some competition to everybody in these little bit quieter times of the summer, as well as race across the genders here, Anna, I think.
Yeah, I quite like it. I filled in the survey myself for WTRL around the women's racing part of this Classics League. And yeah, I think this is a good sort of hybrid mix. You know, there was the option of just reducing the number of regional opportunities for the women to get bigger start lists. But I think this is good. You still have New Zealand, Australia East, Australia West, Europe, Americas. But if you're really good and you want to test yourself, you can go up against the men as well.
Yeah, I think I do think it's a good in between. It kind of satisfies everything. You still have separate categories. You still have the ability to race against women and men. And then at the same time, though, you can find somebody to race against if there's just nobody out there. You know, you end up in this solo TT situation, which isn't always the best, funnest racing, right? And I would think that you kind of want somebody there to push against a lot of times too. So we do have the UCI World's Reverse course. If you didn't check out the World of Zwift, you can go check it out for the recon, as well as a historic moment that Anna was actually a part of in season 2, race number 1 of the ZRL. They did an amazing job in the finish of this. Maybe we'll see a couple of finishes like that on the course. Speaking of the course, Anna, why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, so this course, you've got to have reconned it. You've got to know what you're doing. It starts with a downhill, and you kind of get a false sense of security about how fast you're going. Then it hits 2 big punchy climbs, 23rd Street, and then the KOM on the reverse side of Libby Hill. It is really hard if you haven't reconned it, because those 2 climbs will split the field. This is what we did. If you check out the World of Zwift, we just absolutely went off the front, went blazing up those climbs, had an early split, never got caught again. So hopefully some people will try that. 3 laps though for the C0 race we're following, and then for the C4 race 2 laps. 3 laps, almost 50k. Oh, this is just going to be a really brutal night for these races.
Super brutal, but that's why we're calling it the Classics. Definitely a classic race, that's for sure. Let's jump right on in. C0 is what we're going to be covering up front. In about 2 or 3 minutes, we will be having the C4 starting as well. We chose the C4s because it was the next one as far as laps go, and it had the most women participating in that category. So we jumped on in there, and then we jumped in with the C0s because it's a much larger populated category this week at the top end. With the mainly men's race here, as well as seeing some big names jumping in here. As you were saying that there's an ex-Olympic rower, I think, and I'm also seeing a couple of pro jerseys hanging out today, Anna.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I see the rower yet on the side. I'm just trying to catch a glimpse of his name, but I am seeing Mark Bosted there, the professional triathlete, Ben Ruth, the ex-professional runner, James Harvey. I know he's a semi-pro, I think, whatever that means, based down in the elite area of Cambridge in New Zealand, and they're already hitting one of these first climbs. It's going up to that 7% gradient. This one does flatten off near the top, but 10% now, you're just seeing those orange numbers going absolutely crazy. And if we look at what we've got for first across line and fastest time segments, it is the first 2 climbs, so 23rd Street and then the 25th Franklin Street, and then the sprints, Broad Street and Monument Ave. So there's just going to be fireworks through this whole race.
Bosted, this is one of your favorite riders, I think. Steady here on the front. Well, not steady, really punching off in the front here. 161 beats per minute. Now it looks like he might be able to take this down. Carter trying to come across, but late. That extra effort not really worth a whole lot as he takes second across the line. Cryogen Kestrel's now with Bleakley looking to chase this down. And this was the 2-up, I think, when we were out On the Harrogate course, Bleakley and Bowstead walking away a little bit. They're setting the pace high. We'll see what happens here. We've got a truck being used. Perfect timing from Bleakley here on this truck. Just going to kind of roll it through. Cutler on the attack. I don't know if that's going to work out real well from him. That's a lot of effort for not a whole lot of speed. We'll see if he can continue with this, though, over the top. A lot of times it's the second kick when people take the as you're going to see here, I think from the next rider, most likely rolling right on through. Carter playing it really, really well here with that feather power up. And this is that catch with the momentum we see a lot of times on the second time over the top of the backside of Libby here. This is the 25th Street climb.
And here comes James Harvey. We're just seeing him playing this perfectly, jumping on the wheel of Bowstead, getting a little bit of a draft benefit there. Really nice fast bike. He should be on the Dogma F. He obviously hasn't read the latest Zwift Insider that is now the best all-rounder, not the Kenyan 2021, but I'll forgive him. He's sitting there pretty well. They're going to come around this right-hander, and they'll see that banner just coming up. So it's kind of hard. They finish on a bit of a flat, so you can put in all that effort, kind of break. But it looks like Mark Bowstead is going to go 2 from 2 for these first climbs. And this field has been demolished. This is just strung out. You can see those little red dots all over the course. I'm not sure this is going to come back together to a big group. I think it could remain at a group of about 10 now.
Yeah, this is completely blown apart. Looks like Liam White, Stevenson, Gray, Ruth all trying to get back on terms here. Story off the back here, it looks like, with Gardner trying to chase. It's going to be Dan Gardner, actually professional racer out of the UK. Oh, it says, I thought it was out of the UK, but it looks like it's actually out of New Zealand here.
John Story.
Yeah, so is that the
This
rider
is
you were
who,
talking about?
yeah, this is the ex, well, not ex, he's a rower, has raced at, I think, the last 2 or 3 Olympic Games in the pairs, and extremely good athlete. Has taken to Zwift, decided he hasn't gone to the Olympics this year, he wasn't in Tokyo, and went on to Zwift and is just absolutely loving it. Little kids at home, so found it pretty easy to get on the bike, smash out a good session, and get those competitive juices flowing. So a little bit off the pace here, but if anyone can catch up to this front group, it would be the likes of John Story. And shout out to his mum if she's watching. She usually loves watching the feeds of John racing, and his brother-in-law is usually on here too, Bobby. So we'll see if he's around, but he's obviously dropped him. So good for the family competition as well.
Loving the family competition as always. He actually did on the 28th something that I recently took on, the Specialized Roval Climbing Challenge. He averaged 390 watts for the Specialized Roval Climbing Challenge. That's 4.7 watts per kilogram. That's got to be a sub 40 or right around 40 minute if he was doing Help the Zwift on that one. Absolutely crazy. This is a very strong rider. We'll see if he can pull. I think he's going to pull this back together, actually, as they're going to calm down up ahead, as it looks like he's got just a steady power all day long. Ruth maybe not wanting that to happen. Now, this is actually going to be a chase group, as we do have a front group with Cutler coming from Harrow. It's going to be Mashed Potato as well as Harvey. Barry from Next, the new Premier Division team that recently just qualified. Good to see Next here getting involved at the top level. They should have a new in-game kit, actually, that we might be able to take a look at here if we can get the clicks right. And there it is. It's going to be the Next Esports. Absolutely loving how they're able to earn these in games. I'm loving the kind of Nintendo-esque style here they have to it.
Oh, it's cool. The pixelated little kit there. I do love the next one. I was surprised here to see that there is 2 packs on the road. So you've got some pretty big name riders just being dropped off the back. Braden Clues Proctor from Aero, who's been riding really well. Liam White from Aero. They've all dropped into that pack just behind. And it looks like Cutler here. He is not messing around. They are really pushing hard off the front. James Harvey, though, the consummate competitive athlete in that all black kit, which we talked about last time, Nathan, being the kit of New Zealand. He's representing well. And then I like how they're riding. This is super, super aggressive.
Yeah, and I think this is the way you want to ride this course when you do get the splits. Knowing what's about to come up in front of them in just a moment here. This climb that they're about to take on is the longest, steadiest climb that they have before they hit the flats up on the upper parts of Richmond. And if you can get the gap here, riders are going to start looking at each other, not want to put in a whole lot of work. And so trying to extend the gap from this moment forward, I think, is the way to work together here. This is going to be a 6-man group. They can hold off the chase if they continue on here. And you can already see Mashed Potato and a few of the others starting to kind of say, okay, let's use the group that's coming up behind us here, but that's going to lose some time. 10 seconds, going to be hard to close down here. We'll see how well they can work together. But I think this group up ahead is going to continue on and most likely extend this.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I kind of picked this at the start that those first two climbs would really break apart the group. But what I'm finding really surprising is Mark Bosted. I'm not sure if he's made that front pack and he was double climb first across line there. He might just be sitting at the back. There he is. So Mark Bosted's made that front group. That's good. That's, I think that's going to be kind of cool in it. If he's in there, he can ride those high watts all day long. I'm not sure this group's going to catch up behind 8 seconds back. But they could get a bit they
You see
could get a
that
bit
in
bigger.
game
I'm
chat?
loving Andy Norton. He's trying to recruit riders already. So NZ Bro is the new elite, kind of the New Zealand equivalent of Aero. So Aero is Australian e-racing organization, and NZ Bro is the New Zealand elite version of that. So yeah, they're on a high recruiting drive. They'll be wanting to get all of these New Zealand cryo riders, that's for sure.
Well, Harvey, that'd be a big, definitely pickup as he's been really strong as of recently, and they see him on the front pressing the pace right now. Now it does look like Barry here coming out of Ireland, the next rider, also taking over 6 watts per kilogram. They really do not want to see those riders to be coming back, and this is the way that you do it. You take the reins, take your turns in the front, 6.0 plus here on the 4% steady gradient in just a moment. Now, there will be a sprint point in just a moment here. They'll take a right-hand turn as soon as it levels out and then a left-hand turn immediately into a sprint. And that sprint, though, definitely can open things up. If anybody tries to contest it and then someone sits on a wheel, gets the draft, and then comes over the top with a counterattack, a lot of times we are able to see things split. We'll see if they kind of just look at each other, though. That could be another thing where they're like, look, if we try and contest this, this might all just blow apart. We'll see what they do here. It's still, there are points on the line, and it will cause some infighting, I think, if they do contest this sprint. Ruth going backwards, interesting enough. So obviously this pace was very high.
So looking at the first 10 minutes of this race, they're averaging 5.3. I mean, it's all red numbers looking at the averages now. So this pace is just insane. And I think, like, unfortunately, I think this might prove a bit too hard to keep going because I'm looking at some of the watts in the group behind for these upcoming sprints. And this mashed potato rider from Evo, 17.2 watts per kg, over 1200 watts for 15 seconds. If he goes for that fastest time segment across these sprints, he'll drag everybody up and that 13 seconds will get chewed in pretty quick to this chase pack. However, Daz Carter in this front group, he's no joke with the sprints either. And Richard Barry and James Harvey, I think they could get on as well. So I think these sprints will prove decisive, whether the group behind is putting in some big efforts and can kind of claw their way back, because that group behind looks to be a touch bigger, maybe 5, 6 riders. We can see here Daz Carter already opening up. He's wanting to take those points. And there he goes. Took it over Mike
Easily.
Bosted.
Easily. Just
Absolutely
grabbed it like it was nothing.
no competition there from James, which I thought might be, but it's a long race, 50 kilometers, just about 9K in.
Yeah, solid effort there from Daz. Now we'll see if we do have a little bit of a sprint behind here. Here's the chase group. Did they close anything down? Be Ruth now coming over the top with the counterattack. It looks like after that sprint, 6.6 watts per kilogram on the front. 400 watts right now from Ruth. They're traveling at 46 kilometers per hour. Up ahead, with only 5, they might start calming down. Bosted, though, being in here, as you have said many a times, can just set a very high, steady tempo or even threshold, and most likely will pull this group around, I think, just to keep anybody off the wheel. Most likely, I would think this is a rider who's going to be more interested in keeping a top 5 and maybe breaking everybody and not allowing that back group to get back on terms.
I mean, he would have looked at the length of this course and just gone, yes, this is me. This is what I could do all day long. I mean, he's used to racing 180 kilometers at a steady power. So 50K is nothing for him. And I think he will end up breaking these riders. I would not be surprised. And it does work on this course occasionally, the solo breakaway, usually on the non-reverse version, but I think he could do a solo breakaway in that third lap because a few of these sprinters, they'll go for those first across line points in this lap, but maybe after that the hills will just get a little bit too much. The likes of Daz Carter there, Richard Barry could just get dropped off the back.
Real quickly here, let's just go ahead and jump on over and see what the damage that's been done in the C4 group. We are in with the lead group. This is after the initial climbs. Richardson here from Cryogen, it looks like. Hopper as well. It's going to be Murphy coming in from Australia. Versick here coming out of Germany. And Julian Beiser, Team Experimental from Team Type 1 as well. A dual team here wearing the experimental kit in game. Very long time viewer and racer as well. Great to see this pack 5 that's gotten off the front. Now we do have a chase solo, well, one rider, it looks like, with Constable and McKnight. The first woman out on course will be Val Neves, making the chase here with Snowden coming out of New Zealand. And then there's going to be a small chase group with Kepler and Gordon. And then NZ Bro with the representation with Sharma and Lavington here, both coming out of New Zealand.
Yeah, I do know Levington. She competed in the E-Try event, so she's pretty good. She's just dropping off the wheel there a little. She needs to stay with Sharma, otherwise this could be a long ride. It's almost you just wonder, do you sort of sit up at some points and just wait for that group to catch you from behind so that you can, get a bit more of a draft and maybe save the legs for an attack later. I have seen that playing out fairly well in some in real life cycle races where you see a sort of the riders know they're going to get caught, so they just sit up a little bit, save some energy, and then just bang attack right when they need to. Again, longish course though. I mean, it's only 2 laps for this group, but I mean, they're still going to be out there for about 50 minutes. So, oh man, they've got to conserve. They're a bit in no man's land though.
Yeah, a little bit, but there's going to be 2 seconds here. Looks like Sharma on a solid pole. Bring in Gordon and Keffer back, and then they can form a little group here. One thing to be aware of is it is a long day. Now, they're going to be doing 2 laps, though. Only 2 laps, right? So a little bit less landscape to work with, as you're saying. So I think that this may end up being advantageous for those who really press the pace early on, as we did see with that lead group out here. Hopper, it looks like here, 3.3 is going to be the steady pace. Murphy now coming over the top with about 4. So first time up and over the top of this steady grind out of the industrial park that we're seeing here from this lead group in the C4s. That's what we're covering here for the New Zealand crowd. It's going to be, is that going to be a Kirchmer? Yeah, Kirchmer Experimental. Cryogen. Not sure on WSMTB. And then Hopper, it looks like maybe riding unattached. Through the
Yeah,
power might give us an idea here.
I have to say though, I'm a little bit disappointed I haven't seen any of the Dogma Fs around. I'm sort of looking at all the bikes pretty closely. I've definitely been riding mine. I am liking it in game, and I've oh, is that a Venge S Works? Yeah.
It
So
is.
no one's gone with that yet. That's
That
what I
would
would
be
be
your
running.
choice today? That'd be your choice today?
I'm loving it. Yeah, I mean, I've matched it perfectly with my kit. Kind of got a monochrome retro-ish style going on with the monochrome wheels, and then the Dogma's a nice kind of silvery touch. I just think it looks unbelievable. So yeah, people need to get their bike running out in game because I'm loving it. It feels pretty good on all terrain, definitely better than the Canyon 2021, and only a second slower than the Specialized VNGS Works on the aero flat courses. So you're not going to lose much. And it just looks sick.
Look at this kit here. This is a cool kit. Is this the level 30 kit? It's got 30 next to it,
Yeah,
but
it must
I
be.
don't know if I've never even seen. Did they do an update to the level 30 kit? What's going on here? I'm not sure I've ever seen this kit actually before, or at least
I
not
mean,
recognizing it. Stuart
I
Hopper.
hate that whole setup, but I'm glad that you like it.
Oh, the fashion police have
I-
struck again. Oh my goodness.
oh,
I mean,
I
it
mean,
is
I like the
pretty.
bike.
I
It's
mean, there's not
almost
a whole lot of matching going on here. I'd have to agree with you
no,
there. Like literally nothing.
nothing.
The gloves don't
Nothing
even
is the
match
same.
to. I mean, literally, I'm not sure there's a single thing that matches here. Bike, gloves, like jersey, socks. It's all a different color. Maybe that's what's going on here.
It's all
Maybe that's what
different.
Stuart's going for.
It's almost like he's trolling me. It's
Yeah,
that
I think
bad,
he's just trying to get your attention. I think that's actually what's going on here. I know that I will get Anna's attention with this setup.
If it's just horrifically bad. So there we go. Thanks, Hopper. You've made my night. I've picked my worst fashion choice for tonight, but yeah, these guys are about to approach that sprint. I think it's just after an upcoming right-hander, if I do remember this course. Yeah, so Perfect time to start the sprint is just after the right hander and sort of catch people unawares out of the corner. So this is goes into a hard right, bit of a straight, and then a very hard left, and then you see the finish. One of those hard sprints where you don't see the banner for a long time, so it can be a little bit disconcerting as to when you should go and when you shouldn't. But those who have recon the course will know for sure. This rider here, Murphy, looks like quite the unit. So dragging everyone through and might actually end up taking this out if no one opens it up soon.
Murphy, 153 beats per minute now, leading things out. 1.9 watts per kilogram, so not a whole lot coming from him just as of yet. I think he's got just pure wattage, though, in just a moment here. We'll have to see what ends up opening up. Bijou now trying to go for the lead around the corner. It's going to be a very quick right in front of him. Nobody's really even caring, it seems like, though. A little bit of a kick here from Versick. Is it too late? Quick little 11. Ends up taking it down. Bijou thought he was not going to be contested, but that is not what's happening. Using the drafting power up, though, as you can see, to get on terms, and it might open things up if they stay consistent here. 5.3, 4.3 now coming from Murphy, trying to close things down. 500 watts, as you can see, really spinning it to win up in that 104 RPMs, opening up a gap, actually, as we can see. 4 meters. Richardson still having the draft, so he is dragging the others with him, as Biju's going to be a little bit frustrated with the reality of what just happened with Murphy here, and now it all gets shut right on down as they roll through. No breakaway going to be happening. That was the sprint out on course here as they come over the top. They are opening up more gaps here, but it does look like the ladies were able to, or at least
Yeah, they've caught
Electric Spirit
up.
Company Balnees was able to catch up. Sharma and Lavington are on a mission as well here with a group of 4 with a pretty steady effort. So this race is not over.
No, this is good. I think these guys are with Kefir here leading off the front. They could pull this back a bit. I think this is great tactics from Lavington and Sharma. Sharma from the new NZ Bro team. So probably see Lavington with that NZ Bro tag after her name by next week. But yeah, she's even pushing off the front. She's not happy here, sort of sitting in too much. And I like this. 23 seconds back. So they already pulled back few seconds through that sprint. They've got another sprint coming up. So hopefully they can get themselves organized. It's really hard though, unless you're doing private messaging on screen with people who aren't in your team to talk about how to take turns and pull the riders up to this front group. But that would probably be the way I do it is you've got to get on the front, be taking some 10, 20-second turns. You can see Kefa here saying, yep, nice little gruppetto. They are working really well together, I've got to say.
Yeah, liking that. And those little bits of encouragement do help a lot to let people know, hey, we're working together. We're not the enemies here. And we're going to be able to bring some stuff back here. It looks like the gap is opening out a little bit. Snowden and the rest, I think, getting a little concerned with how it brought back down to the lower 20s. They've almost pushed it back out to 30 seconds at this point. We'll see if Sharma can continue on and pull that group around now. She is going to need a little bit of assistance, I think, in order to do any kind of damage to the riders up ahead. Perhaps not too concerned, though. Maybe a second and a third is really what they're thinking about on the day. Or is it going to be too much for Snowden to continue on here? It still is only 3, so they do have more matches to burn in that group behind if anybody is reserving anything. Solid efforts here. Constable, Balneves, and Snowden. Now, up ahead, though, this can be the lead group. Murphy, Richardson, Versick, Hopper, Bijou. 5 off the front in the C4s. Back in with the C0s, the top end of the fastest of the fastest.
Oh, they're still
And,
away.
they are away still, and it's hovered between. I've been watching off on the other screen here what's been going on here. They've been pulling steadily, working very well together, actually. Because it's all been nothing but nothing but 5 watts per kilogram on the front. As Carter saying, KOM here. For 24 seconds, it went out to 30. It's actually coming back a little bit. It'll go out again a little
And
bit.
look
Here
who's on
this
the
downhill.
front. Yeah, it was John Story there on the front taking some big pulls for a while. That's a big group behind as well. I think that yeah, they can't be comfortable now, even though Daz Carter's a bit scared of these KOMs. I think, see, this is what I'm thinking, Nathan. This group at the front is having to work so hard to keep a gap of 24 seconds. Now, for someone like Mark Bosted, maybe James Harvey, James Harvey, these hills won't be too bad, but this course for the likes of the sprinters like Daz Carter could just absolutely blow them up. And then if that lead group just becomes 2 sitting out the front, I don't know. I think this group behind is still really motivated, and we're already seeing 23 seconds. Oh, so it's going to be exciting. I like seeing this kind of group dynamic. John Story is absolutely hyper motivated to catch them back up. So there's no way they're safe at the front.
23 seconds, it's not a whole lot, especially with the reality of how incredibly steep these climbs are. As they take this right hand turn, you're going to get an idea very quickly at the difference between a large pack that has a lot of matches to burn, a lot of riders who have been sitting in, and what kind of speeds they can carry over the top, versus a pack that's been having to work together in more of a team time trial mode. In team time trials, WTRL or in the ZRL, you really get an idea of how much energy you burn in between the climbs, and that you really got to back it down a little bit when you're working together like this. You can't come over the top with as much speed. And in like most races, the races are won on the climbs in these kind of moments like this. The time will be brought back, I think, a lot here through this climb. As you can see, suffering at 9 watts per kilogram. I bet you in that group behind, we're going to see pushing up to 10 perhaps, as they're not going to be working as much as this group has to do to hold it onto this gap.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, this it's already down to 20 seconds. That's not, they could actually get them in sight soon, which will be bad news for this group up here. Seeing a few feather power ups being dropped, Mark Bostad, he'll probably want to go for the two again. I'm wondering, I don't think they'll be getting a first across line. Sorry, our fastest time segment. That would be what they got on lap number 1. So the motivation will just be a bit lower. They won't need to go as fast with this group. And it looks like they're just letting Barry get away. Mark Bostad chasing a bit behind. He wants the number 2 points for first across line. And they haven't dropped anyone. Daz Carter, though, having to put in a little effort to get over the top. And then we've got, there's a group behind. Orange numbers already. Huddle leading this out for Zed Sun. They're gonna go. I think they know this is the time they've got to make up that gap. And there's daylight now between Huddle and Clues Proctor. Not good news there.
Yeah, it is whittling down. That's the other thing that might actually be in the favor of the group ahead, is the organization over the top of the climb here. Not necessarily there. It is breaking apart down to 20 seconds. Carter now pressing 10 watts per kilogram. Big arrow power up on the 12% gradient section here. 25th and Franklin now coming over the top on the opposite side of Libby Hill. These orange numbers are telling me that this group might just be stronger than the chase behind. We'll see if they can match it in the chase behind. But, regardless how many bodies and how many people are sitting in, if they just have that next level, if they are just a level above the chasers, it will not matter. So I think they're kind of proven here. Perhaps they're just the stronger riders. I might eat my words in just a second here. Liam White now, Clues Proctor now. We are seeing up in these orange numbers coming over the top now. There's the attacks they were reserving for these moments. And here we go. The chase is on. It's still within 30 seconds, Anna.
And that looks like Mashed Potato who's taking that out. He's got very, very high numbers for those short periods of time, which he could take. John Story looks like he's just dropping off the back there. This just could be a little bit too hot for him. It's like I'm seeing coming through on the socials, Richmond in any direction is brutal. Have to agree. And 3 times around this course, we're going to see people like we can see John Story here, Olympian, rower, just not being able to keep with this pace over these climbs. He is quite a big guy. He's quite tall. So those climbs could be a little bit hard for the watts per kg. But like we saw on lap 1, he probably will be able to get back on terms once it flattens out a little bit and he just puts in that huge raw power that he has. But yeah, 29 seconds, 30. Gosh, it's just kind of yo-yoing back and forth. I'm not sure that they're going to make that 30 seconds. So that then says to me, that front group, like you said, Nathan, is just full of hitters who can just stay away. And it's going to be dynamite in this third lap to see if people start putting some punches in, as we're seeing here from Cutler.
Yeah, and the moment they started to slow down at all, Cutler said, enough is enough. 12 watts per kilogram off the front. You can see he's got a 23-meter gap, 28 meters now, continues to go out. Barry trying to shut things down. Actually, Barry working with the rest of the group. Interesting enough, not looking to try and separate himself, which is an interesting tactic when you get into these kind of situations here. Maybe he knows that if we keep fighting each other right now, that group behind is going to catch us. So perhaps Barry has kind of called a truce between everybody else, whereas Cutler says, no, Arrow is going to go off the front. We don't got anybody to work with here, and I am stronger than the rest here. I don't need anybody in order to keep that group back. I don't even need you guys. You're not going to catch me. I'm just going to push 6 watts per kilogram off the front right now and say goodbye. Arrow has taken the race to everybody else now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Aero, I like how Cutler races. I've commentated on a few races that he's been doing lately. 6 seconds already. It might be a little bit of a mission that may not come to fruition just because this group behind, they're not going to really want to let him go too far. You can see Boasted, they're already pushing some big numbers out the front. I mean, Cutler, be good to see some of his stats, just see if he could hold this for a long period of time because he has got some big 20-minute power riders behind him. So looking at Cutler, he does, whoa, actually, 20-minute power PB of 6 watts a kg. He could do this.
5.263 now. I think there's a couple of riders in here who have
Oh,
something somewhat similar. I mean, if anybody's got a half watt per kilogram and they work together within what Cutler does, they will be able to bring it back. But at 10 seconds already, the question is, will they punch over the top of the steady climb out of the industrial park in just a moment? He's got 10. He's out of sight, though, and they're starting to kind of look at each other. You can see anytime you're under 4 watts per kilogram in a chase group and the guy that's off the front's pushing 6, I think they've kind of thrown the towel in at this point, and now they're just thinking about not being caught by that chase group. And also, there's a reality here. They might not be thinking anything, Anna. They might just be thinking, I'm hurting, and this course is so, there's just nothing to give. Like, this course is unrelenting.
well, look at James' heart rate there, 188. I mean, I think he would love to be going up the road, but you don't have much wriggle room at 183 heart rate, 187, 191. What are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to max out over 200 and try and hold that for the next 12 seconds as you go to catch Cutler up the road. So, yeah, I think you're right. These guys, these guys are at their absolute limit. And Cutler, I mean, if he can ride 6 watts a kg for 20 minutes, he could just do that for 5 minutes and get a good enough gap and then just settle back and look what the crew behind him is doing and then just make sure he maintains that gap. But that could be a winning move, which is really surprising. I mean, it's an early time to go. They're not even halfway through this race.
Yeah, lots of racing yet to go, but East Main is right in front of them. The East Main Street climb, longest climb we've got on course here. And Cutler is into it, and it looks like he's going to pull a steady 6 over the top, now up in the 7 even. Now, this is the moment of truth, I think, for this break, because anybody who wants to go across is going to have to try and chase him down. But when you see those kind of numbers ahead of you, you're going to have to pull more than he is. And he's pushing a solid 7 almost watts per kilogram right now at 426. Now, Barry now looking to try and close that down, it looks like, as he presses into 7. Here's the 8.2. That's what they have to do to shut this down now. Will Cutler fade? It looks like they are motivated because these are the numbers they need to do in order to bring back Cutler.
Yeah, I think the thing is the guys in this group behind, I mean, I know James Harvey and Mark Boasted, and I can see from Daz Carter from what we've seen, they don't want to come second and third. They want to win. So they're not going to let him get too far up the road. I am just looking at some of the stats of Tim Cutler. So he is a professional cyclist. So even though he doesn't have the little orange jersey, it looks like he has been a pro from 2018 till this year and placed 14th in the National Australian Championships road race back in February. So yeah,
No
he's
joke.
legit. He's pretty good.
No
Yeah,
joke
exactly.
at all. That's a very amazing Palmares, actually, this past year. I mean, that's a no joke race. I watched some of those, and that's as good as it gets really here. So Cutler throwing down in Zwift a little bit of what he's brought from in real life right now. 13 seconds off the front, but they are in full-on chase mode here. I thought they were going to settle back into 5 to 6, but they are not letting Cutler go. They've closed it down to 12 seconds already. If they come over the top with some speed and don't slow down, if they don't do that kind of, oh, okay, we're done with the climb, and they actually carry it through, they're within 10 seconds, and Cutler, this is a huge match to burn. He does not want this to come back, but if anybody's sitting in and they attack over the top, one tactic we could see here through this sprint is someone trying to go across from the sprint. He's in sight. They can see him at this point now.
Yeah, I think as soon as you got him in sight, they've pulled back a huge amount of time just on that climb. Cutler, though, he's pushing it up so that these guys can't lay off the gas. Barry, I don't know why he's going on the front at 3 watts a kg. James will be a bit frustrated with that. He'll be pushing through a
because
lot
194 beats per minute, Anna. Oh my gosh,
that's
that's why.
Over 200.
Oh my goodness, this is just he is putting them in the hurt locker, and you know you've got to commit sometimes when you've already burnt the match, Anna. Sometimes you just got to say, even if they come within 3 seconds, they might give up any moment. You know, if you can put them that much in the hurt locker here, and that's what's happened. But Barry now says enough is enough and goes right back to the front.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we just saw the heart rate there of Cutler off the front. It was only 169. So he's I think he's got still a bit more in the tank to give. As we see Des Carter coming through for looks like second place on that timed segment on lap number 2. We know he's probably got bigger sprint numbers than that, but I think he's getting neutralized just by the pace of this as we see Harvey going off the front. Again with Bosted. Bosted's racing quite smart here. He's in the cryogen kit. He's kind of just always on wheels. He's not seeing the wind too much or putting in huge effort. So beware of him. He might be saving himself for a bit of an attack to just cut over the gap up to Cutler and not bring anyone with him.
Now we do see the damage that has been done here from this chase. So if anything, Cutler has made sure that this is not coming back. Gardner with a little bit of attack over the top here. Solid little dig now coming from Gardner. Now attack over the top from Huddle from the Z Sun rider now as he throws down that drafting power up, most likely just looking for an arrow as he comes on through. But the reality is that the damage Cutler has done is not only to this pack that's chasing him as it goes out to 15 seconds, but he's made sure that that chase pack is not going to catch the group behind even as they were making a chase. But have they thrown down too much effort? It looks like Harvey and the rest are starting to say, look, guys, we really need to get into a team time trial mode. Start communicating here because they're starting to have a little bit of infighting as to whether or not anybody wants to pull 5 on the front.
Yeah, I think they got really close there. They got to 8 seconds up that climb, that long climb. And then unfortunately, they kind of crested that climb and it all just sort of fell apart a bit. I think Harvey just couldn't hold. He let Barry from next on the green Tron come through, and then Barry just really softened the pace. So it's kind of like what you see in real life racing when the breakaway is just not working well together. But this is the group behind the solo breakaway. But yeah, unless they start moving along together as one unit, which they look all right now, but still nowhere near what Cutler's riding in the front.
No, but they're keeping it within that 20 seconds and perhaps on the flatter sections and then the downhill into, I mean, they still have a full lap and a half or so to go. There is the reality that if they keep it steady, they could shut down some time. And Cutler, remember, he may have gotten this gap at those really high numbers early on through those crucial moments on the course here. If he stays within striking distance and his watts per kilogram come down as he gets further into this effort off the front, I mean, we're talking about a 30 to 35-minute effort off the front. He is only going to be about 10 minutes into that right now. He's still got a minimum, I think, of 25 minutes of racing. So Cutler, 25 more minutes of this kind of pace. If they start really getting a little bit of a rest, they take some water in, get some energy on board and start working together, they could bring back 30 seconds pretty easily, I think. And so can they get organized? Will they get some energy back in the legs? Because Cutler, I don't think he's going to be holding 6.0 plus for the rest of this race. He's just steadily back into that 5.5 or so. And I think that's going to be the reality of the rest of this. Well, you saw him at the 170s. Is he holding back at this point? Is going to be the other question. So there's a lot of questions here to be answered through the rest of this race. But I don't think that Harvey and the rest should throw in the towel just yet. I get the feeling that this is a very early attack and there's a lot to work with still.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Cutler here, unfortunately, if anyone clicks on him, which I tend to do in races because it's great to see what other riders' heart rates are, they might get a bit demoralized by the fact he's in the mid 160s, which is like a sort of sweet spot threshold, right? He could hold this for quite a long period of time. If we're still sitting in the 170s, then I'd be thinking, yeah, he's probably going to drop off the pace. But I have a feeling this is it. I think Cutler's broken away. I think the kind of key point will be those 2 climbs when they start lap number 3. Because I did notice when they did that climb, the last climb, that's when they pulled in a lot of time. So he'll be wanting to keep a big gap to that point. James Harvey, who you can see leading that pack behind, would want to be keeping this within 20 seconds. But I just think Cutler, he just might have the legs over everybody else because you can see James Harvey drop back to around 3.6 again. I think this is just going to extend now.
Yeah, race for second. They may have said enough is enough here. Did want to jump on in with the C4s as we have Versick here now off the front, the German rider. Beiser tried to chase it down over the top of the backside of Libby Hill. That's 25th and Franklin. Richardson from Cryogen sitting in third right now in the C4s trying to chase it, but it's just bodies everywhere, all over. It completely smashed this race. Murphy trying to chase things down as well. Got some steady high wattage, and I think he may be able to bring this back to the Richardson, the Cryogen rider, and work together. I think you are going to have a group of 4 here in just a moment, but they were able to get rid of Stuart Hopper. He just comes over the top of the Libby Hill climb. It is going to be the first woman out on course right now is going to be Balneves, but still within striking distance for Sharma. But Lavington dropped off, it looks like, over the climb that she is currently on. And this is going to be the other side of 23rd Street, I believe.
47. 47 cadence there. I thought that looked like she was going up in slow motion. Man, she is absolutely either cranking a huge gear or just her legs are not coping with that 10% grade. That got very low. That got dangerous into that kind of spiral of death that you can get on those smart trainers. So, woo, I haven't seen a cadence that low in a while.
She's actually got the fastest segment from that last lap. Good on her, as she got a 149.5. Now, she grabbed that, but then was not in the lead. So that's one of the cool things about the Classics races is you can grab some cool accomplishments and count for them. So Lavington with that 149, as the riders who are up ahead, who may win the scratch race out here, will not be taking those fastest for the segments. So good on Lavington here for taking that down.
Yeah, it's Sharma there. Looks like she's taken the 23rd Street climb, which is the one after that. So it's really mixed up a little bit. And then Balnaves is obviously just going for the sort of highest ranked in the race point. So it's a nice little battle there and different strategies being played out from Balnaves, Sharma, and Lavington across all of these climbs. But nice little chat here going on as well. Looking if
happy to group with them,
people
looking
can
to
group
show
together.
looking to work
Group
together.
together
You
on
were
the
talking
flat.
about how they have to communicate with each other
Yeah.
in order to work, and they could bring back. I mean, this is the last lap though for these riders. Remember, everybody, only 2 laps for C4, so it's gonna come right down to the sprint here for them. They still have to head on up the climb here on East Main in just a moment. As I believe Murphy and the rest, happy to pick them up. Sharma saying, good to hear. Loving to see the communication as it comes on through. And you can see the friendliness here and the working together out on course. And that's one of the cool things about riding on a virtual platform like this is you can actually communicate with riders. You have a race radio that's up ahead if they're willing to listen. A lot of times, though, nobody wants to communicate when they're at 180 and in a race, but this one a little bit more friendly.
Yeah, this one's friendly. I find sometimes there's like the passive aggressive words going out, or there's just people kind of faking a little bit and just mentally just sort of trash talking the other riders. But this group seems really nice and friendly. I'm liking it. They've got about 20 minutes to go until the end of this race. So good to see here this front group of 4. This will be taken to the line, I think. And looking at some of these riders, Stefan Versik, very, very good sprint. So if this comes down to a sprint, I'll be looking at Stefan Versik. Thomas Richardson, not so good. He's the cryogen rider who's up there. Not such a great sprint, so he'll need to start thinking about a bit of a breakaway. And Julian Bayer, pretty good as well. So I think we're probably going to see, I would imagine up the next climb, a bit of a breakaway from Julian Bayer and Stefan Versik. And those two will go to the line and just have an absolute head-to-head battle.
4 up front here, and we'll see how Versik can play out here. C2. It's going to be Kirchner Cycling C2s. I think he's a part of a lot of the WTRL races that we have as well in the TTT. That's definitely a familiar name. Guys are also doing a lot of the team time trials for Team Type 1, a team that we highlight often. Not as familiar, though, with Richardson and Murphy, but Cryogen, obviously a very popular team out in the world of Zwift here. Hopper in no man's land. This is going to be a struggle to hold anybody off at 2.4, 2.6. I think that this chase group that's been communicating well is most likely going to bring Hopper back into the fold before they get to the finish line, and that will be a sprint for 5th place out on course. Back in with the C0s, the top end AA plus riders. And you can see Barry from Next getting a little bit organized. As soon as it got around that 25-second mark, it started hovering there a little bit. But Cutler continues on with higher watts per kilogram. Now Bosted to the front. As you can see, it'll be interesting on the downhill the reality of a snowball effect with 4 riders versus a single rider. Will Cutler sprint a little bit in order to get into the tuck in just a moment? Now is the first time I've seen him below 4.0 watts per kilogram for a while, actually. Is Cutler starting to fade is going to be the question. I don't think so at 157. I think he's just noticing that, hey, back it off and don't go over too much. Harvey, orange numbers, a little bit of fighting behind here, Anna.
Yeah, it's how is his heart rate so low? That is insane to be able to hold those numbers, Cutler on the front with a heart rate that was in the high 150s there for a bit. James Harvey, though, he'll I wonder if he'll try and break away from this group. I mean, he has pretty good numbers in if it comes to a sprint finish, but only a few watts above Daz Carter. So he'd be really wanting to drop that rider. And Barry there as well. I think they'd be wanting to drop him. They're the ones you'll be watching out for in the sprint. And Mark Bosted, I'm surprised he hasn't tried something. I think maybe he could try it starting off into lap 3, which they're coming into. They've just come into now. They'll hit those climbs. These guys have got
Watch
to do
this,
something
Anna.
because I don't think.
Watch this. Watch how fast this might come down. If they really up it right here, if they do a good job of orange numbering over the top of each other right here, 61 kilometers per hour. Now, will they do a super tuck speed through snowball at all, or are they all just going to super tuck and not really do anything? It looks like it's kind of just everybody super tucking. If they would have done that a little bit more tactically, I think they could have got some crazy speed. But look, they 8 seconds there pretty quickly on Cutler. Will they carry it through? I'm not saying the breakaway is gone still. I think that there's still something to do here, but perhaps Cutler's got a lot more matches to burn.
Yeah, I mean, he must, right? But this group, they're coming down this downhill. They're going to hit a left-hander, and then they'll start to hit those climbs. Oh, you just really want to to catch him, right? I mean, you're looking at that time, you'd be like, oh, it's 20 seconds. But then Cutler's pushing up to 7 watts a kg there. He's probably hit some of those climbs already. Will this group catch up? If they don't catch on these 2 climbs, I'm calling it, they won't get him because it's just. If he gets away, he'll hit that downhill while they're still going up and it'll just balloon out to about 30 seconds, is my prediction. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I think that's what we're going to see. And then these 4 riders will be fighting for second place.
6.7 now, steady over the top here. Let's see if they pull 7 plus on the climb with the group behind. Now he is pressing over the top of 7. Now 6% gradient. It's going to get a little bit steeper in just a moment here. Now they are going a little bit more. Well, nope, there it is. 8 watts per kilogram. This is what it's going to be all about. Will they really press the pace with this group, this chase group? Now, there it is. The next rider.
Whoa,
this is where they have to close this down right now. Orange numbers popping. Each one of these climbs, they can shut down 20 seconds real quickly because Cutler is in steady mode to try and get to the finish line with this gap. If he, as you said, I think, Anna, if he comes over the top of these climbs, in with still a 10 second gap intact, okay, steady threshold all the way. But if they can shut this down now, it might be said and done.
And I think they've got him in his sights now. They can just see him rounding that corner. So they just saw him there. It's only 14 seconds ahead now, 13 seconds. Barry, he's a light rider in that group. He's almost 10 kg lighter than some of the riders around him. So he is going to push that. We're not seeing anyone drop off. Mark Bosted, a bit of a heavier rider, better at the TT. If they can work together, get the lighter riders to really push those orange numbers, and then Mark Bosted to push them on the flats, that's going to work well. 10 seconds now, 8 seconds between James Harvey and Cutler off the front. They know now is the time they've got to catch him, and they can see him just going around some of these corners. They've got one more climb to go, and then it's opportunity lost.
He's
7 seconds.
There. I can't believe this. This might happen. They're going to have such a kick over the top of this climb right now. It's going to be done. Oh my gosh. This is one of the most exciting races in a long time. Here is Harvey, Barry, Daz Carter, Bosted off the back right now, trying to bring it back, but I think he's popped as they push the orange numbers over the top. He's within sight, and it is done. Cutler has burned an entire matchbox at this point, and these boys have brought him back. It's 4 off the front. Bosted suffering. I think they're going to sit up maybe, though, the second they catch him, which may give Mark Bosted an opportunity to get back. He should not throw in the towel. He needs to continue on at this point, and it'll be 5 off the front. Cutler continues, but Barry here, he's got him. I think this is done. He's not giving up the ghost, though. He just says, nope, I'm going to continue on. 5.2, catch me if you can. With 1 second, it's done, though, Anna.
They've got to get him now. They can't just let him hang. This is what happened last time, and he got a little bit of rope, and then he just went with it and was riding those 6 watts a kg. They have got to catch up right now. 0 seconds back. They'll get this on the downhill. Oh my gosh. And then they can breathe again. They must be absolutely smoked. That was a
Woo!
chase for ages.
What a chase here. Bostad off the back now, though. He's the one who's actually popped. And Mark Bostad, this is a course that really suited him to try and break things apart here, but unable to handle the reality of those orange number kicks over and over again. More of your threshold steady power rider here now, and it's just a little bit too punchy for him. So we've got 4 off the front. Bostad trying to get into super tuck. It's not really cooperating with him unless it's just on the client side here. Cutler and the rest, though, right on into it, up in that 70 kilometers per hour. We do see the attacks behind here with Story and Gray from, it looks like NZ Bro as they come over the top of their backside of Libby Hill. It's the Franklin 25th. They're going to have a little bit of a battle here over the top, trying to drop some riders off. Ruth is the one that's suffering here, it looks like, as Mashed Potato does what he does and mashes the potatoes off the front here. He's got the blender going. He's got to throw a little butter to make it taste well as he tries to take this down. No, Kestrels is going to do it with Gardner, it looks like. And across the line.
Bleakley. Looks like Aaron Bleakley. Taking that out, just rolling over the top here. They've got it's still quite a while to get to the line, so they've got this long period of flat. And actually, it looks like Gardner, Bleakley, and there's Zed Sunrider just coming over the top.
Huddle.
Huddle. Great job, Huddle.
192 beats per minute here. Now, we do have some attacks happening at the front, though, as we go back. Cutler says, a little bit of anger in the pedals for a moment there as he tried to break him again at the same point he did last time, actually, last lap. And they said, not this time, Cutler. We know your tricks. And Harvey gets right back on terms with Carter and Barry. Now, the question is, who's got the kick? And will East Main break it apart? Wow, he is not done.
No.
He's in sight.
He can see them, and I think what he's hoping is that front group is just playing games. You can see could be a couple of the Kiwis there. Harvey will just take soft turns on the front. Took a turn there at 3.3. So Bostad 8 seconds behind, but a group that's not cohesive. He could get back on. Cutler's pushing some huge numbers again, though.
Yeah, and I think Cutler is really does not want this to come down to a sprint. I think that's really what is going on here is that he's the kind of rider who just wants this to break apart. He knows the reality of Daz Carter, I think, being in here. One of the best sprinters I know of in game. And so trying to get rid of Daz Carter is going to be a huge motivation here at this point. And seeing what he did last lap, I think Cutler knows that he's probably got the better steady high power than the rest of the riders here. And they had to work against him together to bring it back. But he was off the front for a solid 20 minutes there. I mean, that's a full gas threshold effort already done. The others didn't have to work quite as hard here, Anna.
Yeah, I'm just having a deeper dive into Tim Cutler's stats. So he's actually beaten Sam Lindsay before, who we know from the Deepak Elite crew from the Zwift Racing League is no joke when it comes to very, very high level Zwift racing. So Cutler, he's playing a dangerous game because he's pushing very hard off the front. And these guys, because they know he got away last time, they're just sitting on his wheel, letting him take some wind and burn those legs, which means he may end up coming fourth out of this group because the others could just sprint over the top. Mark Bostad 10 seconds back now, still pushing some high numbers, but yeah, this group at the front is still hyper motivated, just watching Cutler do these little digs and just getting back on his wheel.
Yeah, and it looks like he keeps on trying to break things apart, not happening. And Bostad from this is keeping it within 10 seconds, 5 watts per kilogram right now, as you can see from him. I have a feeling, though, over the top of East here in just a moment, getting a little bit of gap, trying to maybe put them into a little bit of hurt, get them off the wheel, actually, before they even get into the climb, which is a very smart move, actually, coming from Cutler, and trying to raise those heart rates before the real pressure comes on. Now, Barry over the top, though, might make Cutler pay a little bit. I think if any riders could go together, though, it would be Barry and Cutler breaking away, and that's exactly what we might be seeing here as Harvey just lets the gap go, though. But now, ask Carter. This is a rider here who's going to play it super smart. I don't think you'll see Carter stick his nose in the wind once unless he finds himself somehow on the wheel of someone who is off the front. I think Carter is going to play this all for the sprint. So unless he
Yeah.
is suddenly finding himself as the 2 up off the front accidentally almost, Carter's just going to sit on these wheels.
So I don't know if you remember, Nathan, you would have been in the production box, but the reason Cutler was been ringing a bell to me was the last race of the Zwift Racing League where they did Surrey Hills and it was 46 kilometers. Tim Cutler had a solo breakaway and won, averaging 5.5 watts a kg, won by over a minute over the likes of Sam Lindsay from Deepak, Fabian Devola from Deepak, Ben Hill, his teammate from Aero. So he's the kind of solo breakaway specialist, but unfortunately for him, I don't think he banked on this chase group being so motivated because they've caught him up, and I kind of feel like he doesn't have anything else in his playbook now. I mean, what can he do? He doesn't have the sprint. He hasn't managed to stay away. I think what he's found is some competitors who are on the same level as him.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But Barry here up and over the top right now, this might be exactly what Cutler wants to see is somebody to go with in just a moment here. Carter able to cover it. Now Cutler on the back though, and this might be telling us that Cutler's actually suffering a lot at this point. 8 watts per kilogram, 8.5, or is he looking for a counter as Barry tried to attack over the top there with that feather power up? Interesting use. Anna, speak to that because you know the feather power up in a sprint across the line is useful on this course. You've seen it win actually with your own team. Now Harvey though off the front. This is an interesting moment. It looks like it's going to come all back together perhaps. The 2 riders I thought that weren't going to get dropped are actually getting dropped as Harvey goes. No, it looks like Carter and Harvey not able to make it happen. But that feather, I think now with 2 more banners to go, it is an okay gamble because you're really looking for a narrow
Yeah.
power up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was going to talk to you about the power ups. We've got the drafting, the aero, and the feather in this race. Obviously, the feather was great for those short climbs at the start of each lap that got up to about 10%. But it is can get a really good kick in a sprint as well. So if you're looking at how this race finishes, I think that could be useful. And I think there's a good use of it there because Barry is one of the lighter riders in this group. He dropped a feather, probably to just get a little bit more of an advantage. He's going to pick up another power up very, very shortly under this banner that we've just started the sprint. Does anyone have the legs
They
to
don't
even go for
care.
this?
They
No,
don't
it's a
even
complete
care at
rollover.
all. I mean, Carter for a
So they
second
don't.
there, but I think it was like last moment. Well, maybe nah, nothing's happening. And now even a truck being dropped by Barry, he didn't get what he wanted here. Obviously, they're
Yeah,
looking a little bit, rolling these dice.
I think he's hurting too. Whenever you see the drafting power up being dropped at times like this, I think they just really, really need some recovery. Seeing Cutler going off the front, orange numbers again. So
5, 6,
7.1 watts a
7 meters,
kg.
8 meters.
Harvey's on his tail though straight away. Look at that. He's not letting him go. I think yeah, he's played his card. They know how he rocks now. Cutler does those breakaways. They just have to put in a little dig and they'll get on his heels again. I'm looking at Daz Carter for this one though. He's kind of chilling in the pack and he's got the best sprint numbers. But James Harvey, he wants to win every single time. He pushed a lot of that chase. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Cutler again digging off the front. He's just trying to burn the legs of these guys. This is brutal.
And it's not a bad way to do it. I mean, if you don't have the sprint, this is the best thing you can do. You open up a gap over and over until essentially somebody says, I'm not chasing anymore. Either I can't or you got to do something. So it's not a bad playbook. I mean, if that's all he's got left to play, keep on hitting them until they do not chase you down. But, you know, the question is, does he have the numbers to hold them off even after every one of these tacks? And it looks like the fading is just happening. Now, Harvey with a counter that might put Cutler on the back foot here. Harvey kicking now. The orange numbers are there. Again, Barry comes across. Cutler gets pulled in, it looks like, and it's not going to go anywhere again. Great attacks, keeping things interesting. Not happening, no.
Yeah.
Back in here, though. This is the final sprint here between the 4 up off the front in the C4s. It was down to 30 seconds at one point, but no, it wasn't meant to be for the chase group. So 4 up sprint in the C4s. Murphy, Beiser, Richardson, and Versick. And you said Versick was the one to watch out for, the German rider from KC.
I'm calling Versick. He's got really good numbers in a sprint. He's kind of played this pretty smart. He's just in the pack here. This is a really tricky final sprint as well, just because not many people are used to doing this in reverse. So we'll see what he does. It could be all about timing and what kind of power-ups you've got, but Versick definitely has the numbers there. The only other person is Julian Bayer, who is about 200 less watts in a 15-second sprint. But again, if he just kind of times it right, now would we see Murphy or Richardson go for a kind of early breakaway? That's really the only chance they have at the moment, unless they've just accepted that they're going to be coming third and fourth.
Look at how much they're looking at each other here. Already a drafting power up though for Murphy. Is that a mistake?
Oh,
I mean, that's the way, way out at this point. 1.6 watts per kilogram. So a lot of cat and mouse games here going on in just a moment, I think. Well, Murphy now a little bit off the front. This might be a move. Tempting, but it's not going to be what's needed here. Maybe just looking for
got to tell you, Nathan,
positioning.
the perfect way to do this ending. See that sprint banner on the right hand side? You put in a fake sprint, and then people think that's a finish and they go for it, but it looks like no one's been caught up. Bayer here has gone early with the feather, so we get a little bit of a kick here against the others. Versick is not even anywhere near going to orange. There he goes, up to 9 watts a kg. I
He's
think
got
he's left it a
30
bit too late,
meters.
Versick.
He's gone. 30 meters at
Wow.
this point, 7.4 here. Fire now.
He
Looks
could
like
blow
he's
up
done
though.
it. Now 6.8.
I don't know.
Versick, 8 watts per kilogram. There's this little uphill right here. Not a lot of landscape left to close it down. Versick continues on. I think
Oh,
Julian just pulled it off, though. It's just not enough. Versick comes in for
wow.
second. What a move. Great move. It is Murphy across the line for third, it looks like. And here's Hopper now rolling in for fifth place. Snowden right on the wheel, interesting enough. The first woman that's going to be coming across the line is going to be Balnews, but she's battling it out still with a couple of the boys out here. Looking to shut it down to Hopper, and she might do just that, it looks like. As Balnews looks to pull Snowden up to Hopper in just a moment here. Solid little tactical moves happening between the two. Maybe not really caring as they're not in the same category, but Electric Spirit now with Balnews opening up to 4.2.
Yeah, look at that. She's had a great race coming in just with Snowden here. Like you said, I don't know if they'll attack each other, but it'd be great to see her just roll over the top of Snowden and
I
Hopper.
think they're going
Hopper
to.
with the horrific kit there has had a great race and obviously hasn't slowed him down too much. Roll across the line there in fifth place. So really good work there. Snowden in sixth. And Balnaves will be the first female. So great job from her from that Electric Spirit group.
Yeah, and it will be Sharma that'll roll across the line for third place. This is still within top 10 for Constable. It looks like it's a lot of mayhem out here as it completely shattered across. And that's to be expected on this course a lot of times. It does really tend to shatter things up, and it looks like Kefir here's going to come on through for ninth. McKnight trying to chase it down. Not going to happen, it looks like. For 10th place, Sharma from NZ Bro, the New Zealand team that's on what you said is going to be a recruiting spree, trying to make something happen. Now, interesting enough here, we're going to jump back in with the C0s now because Daz Carter, which I was not
Oh,
expecting at all, is on the
whoa.
attack and got a little gap.
Wow.
Barry shuts it down, actually, and they let Cutler just kind of sit in and make things happen. Willie come. This is
Oh,
perfect timing for
wow.
Cutler. They essentially just set Cutler up for
Oh, no.
everything he's looking for on the cobbles, too. And oh my gosh.
What was
Oh,
that? That was weird tactics, but Harvey is right on his tail again. I think Harvey will get back on. But yeah, these guys are just keeping this pretty exciting. I mean, they could have just rolled through, drafted away, and then had a little sprint for the line. But these guys know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And yeah, it looks like Cutler is just trying to break the legs of the sprinters here. Daz Khan, I'm not sure why he's attacking. He doesn't need to. He's got the best numbers. He just needs to sit in the pack
he
and
might
hope
not
that it
like his
comes down to
power
the
up, Anna.
sprint.
He might not like his power up. That might be a reality. I haven't seen power ups from many of these guys, though, in a while. I think they all have arrow, except for perhaps, who was it? Was it Barry or was it Harvey
Yeah,
that threw
Barry
down?
dropped the
Barry dropped
drafting.
the drafting. So maybe, unless he picked up a good power up through that last monument sprint just a moment ago. But I haven't seen much of anything from any of them in a while here. So I have a feeling there's some arrows underneath almost every one of the hoods here.
Yeah, and this is where it starts to get a bit tetchy, right? They're all kind of, they've played a lot of hands now. They've kind of done what they can do, and none of it has worked. They're just all staying together. They must be so tired. Like, this has just been gladiators battling this whole time. Cutler, how is he still off the front of this pack, leading this group through after having a solo breakaway at 6 watts a kg for probably around 25 minutes. And then these other guys are just sitting in there behind, but I don't know how much they're going to have. This is going to be probably one of the most interesting sprints that I've seen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how it plays out here because I have a feeling we're probably gonna see one more attack, perhaps. I have a feeling there's only one more opportunity. And then from there, essentially, you've got the cat and mouse games they could play, and really, it's going to be from that attack forward, which might not even happen because really, when you get within that 700 to 500 meters, there isn't another kick to go. You're going to use a kick, and then maybe it's a faker, but if you go all in at that point, there's not going to be a second time to go again. So at this point, it really is going to be all in moves in just a moment here. We may get a little bit of a fake to get somebody on the front, and then from there, we're into the final 2 to 300. They're all backed off, though. It looks like they're just looking for that final
Oh,
kick.
look at that. You see Harvey drop down to 2 watts a kg there, who was on the front and then said, what am I doing on the front? Dropped right back, but doesn't want to get too far back because if someone goes early, you need to be near it. And they've rounded the corner now. They've got this long, long, long
Look at these
finishing straight.
fakes. You see these little kicks. There's
Oh,
Harvey now.
yeah.
There it is. There's the kick. Looking to try and make somebody
And it
go. They
drops
want to
back.
put somebody on the front. It's so funny to watch. They're just back and forth, these games. But one of them's going to be the go. And then you're the lead out man, though, unless you get the break.
Who is it going to be? Cutler's on the front. He doesn't have a sprint. I think he's a bit burnt. I think this is going to be between Harvey and Carter. It's got to be. Look at Carter there, just sitting in the back. He's playing this perfectly. I mean, if he gets the timing right, he's got a good power up. He has got this in the bag. But man, this is exciting to watch at the finish. Cutler there, he's just going to do a lead out. Unfortunately, he could just end up in fourth with these sprinters overrunning him near the end. Little sprint banner there on the right, and then basically they're going to have to open up pretty soon after that for the finish line.
Yeah, and there is a little 1 to 2% gradient kick right before the finish line. If you come with a lot of speed in one final burst, and if you sit in a wheel well, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out here. It's going to be the last 400 meters. Nobody going yet. So much timidness. Nobody wants to be the lead up, but Barry kicks open first. There's the 9.2 watts per kilogram. Now it's going to be Daz Carter, already an arrow power up there. They start to go now. They're galloping. 15 watts per kilogram. Carter's got a gap. He doesn't even within 5 meters. Nobody's on his wheel. Can they close it down? Daz Carter, 14, but here comes Harvey. Harvey over the top. He waited. It's perfect. He made it happen. Jay Harvey across the line. Carter fading. Barry for third. And as you said, Cutler without the sprint for fourth. Oh my goodness. What timing. Harvey was so patient.
Oh, that Harvey played that to absolute perfection. That was amazing. I love that rider. He's just nailing this Zwift racing. He's fairly new to it and he is owning it. Daz Carter went so early. The patience he had to not go too early with him and then just roll over with
I thought Daz had it. I thought Daz had, with that gap. I mean, I looked at the meters. Harvey wasn't even on it, but that second kick from Harvey was just enough, and it was the timing of it as well. The timing of his second kick in the sprint was on the little bit of a climb, and because of that, he was able to carry through and come over the top of what looked to be a faster kick from Carter. Carter perhaps going too early, because I think if Carter would have sat on the wheel of Harvey and had a higher kick through, not going to happen. Bleakley, though, looking to go really early. This is the Anna Russell move.
Yeah, he's great. He's a good rider. I think he may hold these guys off, but looks like Clues Proctor is actually closing up very, very quickly. As I say that, I think Clues Proctor will probably take this out. Unfortunately, they're just in the finish straight. Looks like Clues Proctor, he's a great sprinter from Aero Team as well. Mashed Potato coming through. Actually, Bleakley there went way, way, way too early. Lots of orange numbers there. Good to see John Story too, kicking up around the high 11 watts kg. So nice job there. But Mashed Potato rolling in for the second place in that chase pack. Wow, that was that lead grew. I'm astounded. And then you see, as soon as they opened up that sprint, Cutler just dropped. He dropped down to 2 watts a kg. He was like, I've got nothing. So unfortunately for him, he did end up in that fourth place, and I thought he might if he went with that group to the line.
Yeah, what a sprint here for that, with both of these groups here. Amazing job. Richmond Challenge, not disappointing, Anna. I mean, this has been extremely exciting all around. Some of the best racing we've seen in quite a while. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at that replay because it was so well played out by the man Harvey here as we get a little bit of a reverse. But really quiet here at this point, Anna, but walk us through what had happened here.
Oh, I mean, Des kind of opens up. You see, Barry kind of went a bit early, but his watts just don't go high enough. And that forced Des to go. And Des started straight out the bat at about 15 watts a kg, way higher than Harvey, who hung around about 8. And then look at that. You can see he's in that really fast sprint zone. And then you have Des, and you could see here, got 6 meters on Harvey, but that was about it. Harvey pulling up to around 15 watts a kg. Not very long to go, and Harvey with the head down into that huge power mode just rolled through.
That later arrow, too. The later
Oh,
arrow,
no,
I
almost
think.
with no space. Look how, as soon as his wheel crosses, and then you start to see the finish line. So, wow, timing amazing. Daz burnt. Did Barry cross past Daz on the finish? No. And then Barry and Cutler was well back then. He'd exhausted all matches.
Yeah, nice timing there from Harvey. And we saw a little bit of NZ Bro in there. Excited about it. Did you see that? Did you see the
so trying to recruit again?
Trying to recruit. They're giving him the kudos. I mean, that's about as good as recruitment you can get, right? Good job, buddy. Come on over to our team.
Exactly. I love it. Yeah, it's blatant.
We're seeing a lot coming on through. Richard Berry, good to see you. Super race, excellent coverage. Nice job out there, Richard Berry. Coming to Ireland. Good to see you in the broadcast. Great race coming from Charlie Bad. Eddie Uli is hanging out here as well. Good to see you there, Ed. And if you enjoyed the race, make sure you hit that subscribe, follow, comment, do all the cool things, and you'll be able to know anytime that we do go live here. People will be live again for the European race later today with myself and Dave Toll. If you haven't checked out the Race Recon, you can check out the WOZ World of Zwift episode that just launched over on Zwift Live as well as Zwift YouTube. And you also get to see a little bit about the Gontova situation. Actually, Dave went and visited Natalie Gontova. Pretty awesome to see. And she's actually coming from the rowing background as well, as we just saw an Olympic rower here in this race. Seems to be a lot of crossovers. We have Olympic, somebody coming from Olympic rower as well as our world was it a world, I believe, champion on rowing coming in and taking out the world championships as well for Zwift. I mean, seems like rowing and Zwift go pretty hand in hand.
Oh, they do. I think I coach a few rowers myself, and they just know how to suffer. I think that's all it comes down to. They're so used to just getting on that erg and going so hard for 6 to 7 minutes that this kind of racing is perfect for them. They just have to put in that effort up those crucial parts of the course, and that's why they can get ahead. I am looking forward to next week, though, where we do hit a Watopia Classic, which I always love, epic KOM, followed by a finish on the Titans Grove reverse KOM. I love this one, actually. So anytime up epic is quite cool because it ends up being a 20-minute FTP test. And be good times next week as well.
Anna's favorite. Let's go up to the radio tower. Sounds good. And it is Watopia Cup on August 10th. So you guys can check that out. Between now and then, we will be having, obviously, the WTRL TTT here on the channel. I did do the World of Zwift record for the Watopia Cup. It was really interesting because Mirror in the Mountain, which is the course that we're on, is not used a whole lot. So you don't find a whole lot of climbing the reverse Titans Grove KOM into the Epic KOM to the tower, and then again Titans Grove reverse KOM. A lot of climbing on the day, a punchy finish, a punchy start. Right in the middle of it all, you've got this crazy climb. That was an interesting one to do a record for. I think the World of Zwift segment is going to be fairly long. I sat here I think I did I don't even know how many records. There was a lot of talking going on. A very tactical race. But if there's one where you want to see a breakaway happening, that one gets interesting because you've got this climb, and if the pure climbers get away, but if you got punchier riders who have a steady 5 or so at the front, well, in the A's, you're going to have this group that can still bring you back on the descents. It's going to get super interesting and super tactical next week for the Watopia Cup. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you got the anvil playing out there as well.
Oh, so. I forgot. That makes it even
Yeah.
more tactical because you've got the well, you can't really use an anvil on the tower, but you do get one over the top of that KOM. So there's there
Yeah.
Titans Grove. You get an anvil that could really change things up and bring people back fast. I mean, those downhills you can get rolling in a group.
Oh, yeah. No, that's gonna be super fun, and, I have to go watch that World of Zwift, show, see you sweating it up that climb, Nathan.
Oh God. Yeah, definitely check it out, everybody. All right, we'll be back for Europe in just a few hours. We're going to cover all of the zones. So we're covering Eastern, the Central, as well as the Western. So make sure to tune back in for those. Thanks a lot, Anna. Appreciate all the coverage as also always, everybody. And to all the racers, great job. For the full results, head on over to WTRL.racing, and we'll see you later today for the European. As always, everybody, right on.